And away we go. It is the nightcap brought to you by Hail Mary Sports Bar right here on BearcatJournal.com. Go see our good friends at Hail Mary's. They're located in Cheviot on Harrison Avenue. They're right in the door district, so you can go from bar to bar with your drinks or just hang out at Hail Mary's. They got 27 TVs, a 9-screen video wall. There's not a bad seat in the house. And all the Cincinnati sports will be on the 9-screen video wall. Plus, they have the DirecTV package, so everything that's on DirecTV will be on at Hail Mary's. Brand new draft lines, brand new walk-in cooler, and of course, ice cold Cincy Light on tap, and you can get it in a 32.8 degree frosted glass. Hi, Aaron.
Yo,
How are we doing today?
not too bad. We had a tough loss at old Athens High School today.
It's never fun. Damn it.
Split the series. They're rivals actually, and split the series 1-1.
Well, I had a shocking experience today, Aaron. I had to renew my tags for the car because it's the last day of the month and I procrastinate and do things at the last minute. And when you do something like that, you expect you're going to be in line for a long time, right? You go to the place to do the tags. It's the last day of the month. Everybody waits. I walked in, there was one person in the place. I was like, are y'all closed?
I think a lot of people figured out that you can actually do it all through the mail.
All online, yeah.
And
it's right by the house, so it's just easier to like go. I like to do things in person anyway.
Don't go during lunch hours or after 5.
I went at like 1 o'clock. Like I thought for sure the place was going to be crushed.
I'm
and
surprised.
There was one person. Like I went in, I registered on the little like iPad thing, and it dinged me. Please go to counter number 6. I was like, let's go.
When I used to go to the DMV over on the west side, that one was nice.
Well,
you could walk right in and out.
So where we are, it's 2 different places.
Yeah.
It's not the DMV. You do it at it's like the registration place, and then the DMV is a different deal. I have to get one of those true IDs, the new IDs.
Yeah.
To go to Florida. They sent me a thing saying if you don't have it, you can't fly. So I have to do that, and I'm expecting that to be like an all-day affair.
Good luck.
Anyhow,
indeed. We're 3 minutes in.
Let's talk sports. Yeah, let's talk sports.
So I found a couple articles from the last couple of days. Draft talk has kind of died down a little bit. I'm sure that'll pick back up once the voluntary OTAs and what have you start up. But a couple days ago, Shaquille O'Neal made some headlines as he agreed to become the men's basketball general manager of Sacramento State. This according to Shams of ESPN. It'll be a voluntary role for Shaq. His son, Shaquille O'Neal, also plays for Sacramento State under Mike Bibby. So now you have Shaq and Mike Bibby, 2 former NBA stars in their own right, there as GM and head coach. A little different direction for Sacramento State to go in the role of a GM, but we're starting to see other schools do this GM thing that Cincinnati is doing as well. Cincinnati, of course, goes the route of a completely different direction rather than hiring a figurehead, if you will.
I get what you're saying. I don't know that Shaq does anything as a figurehead, though. Like he seems to be in everything he does. He seems to be very involved. So I wouldn't be surprised, especially like now that high school recruiting has kind of been devalued a little bit.
Yeah,
because everybody's just getting guys out of the transfer portal. I could see some higher profile kids, maybe not top 10 kids, but like top 50 kids, top 75 type kids going and playing for a former NBA guard that had a good NBA career and in an organization associated with Shaq. Like, I don't know that, like, this is what I talked about before Corey Evans was hired. when the idea of hiring a GM was starting to float around, there's no blueprint for this.
Well, we
So
saw
it can go a million different ways.
We saw a couple weeks ago, Steph Curry also throws his hat in the ring as GM as well. I don't know how much is actually
GM.
I don't know how much is going to be happening there, and I guess that's where I'm drawing the parallel as far as the figureheads go. But this is not an assistant GM spot, and it's not a high profile. This isn't Duke, this isn't North Carolina, this isn't even his alma mater LSU, which I think would be a completely different job compared to Sacramento State. But
sure, because you've got to go win recruiting battles at those places,
and you're dealing with much higher profile athletes and that kind of thing. But it's just interesting to see the different routes that teams are taking in regards to this GM role, which I still don't know. I don't know what Corey Evans' role is going to be defined as. I know we've had him on the show. He's talked a little bit about what he's going to be doing, but I don't know. I think it's going to be ever evolving while he's here. I don't think what he's doing or plans on doing on April 30th, 2025 is going to be the same as what he's doing April 30, 2026 or 27 or you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I don't because we've talked about this too. In football, there's a job. Like, you're dealing with 30, 40, 50 new employees, new we can't call them employees yet, but you're dealing with a large number of turnover every year. Sure. Yeah, I'm not calling them that
anymore. The NCAA does.
Yeah, of course they do. These guys are making more than I'll make in 5 years, 10 years. So
Shedeur made more last year than he's going to make in the next 5 years.
Right. So I'm not calling him that. But in football, there's a job to be done. There's high school. You have to go get 15, 20 high school kids a year. You have to go get 15, 20 portal kids a year. In basketball, sure, you're seeing a lot of turnover, but like 8, 10 kids. And most of it is done now in the portal, which really is like a month's time. You have to scout and be prepared and know who's going to hit the portal and what your strategy is. There's work to be done, but it's not 12 months every day like in football. So you can go a lot of different ways with that. You can there's a bunch of different variables on how you can approach this. Be it a scout, be it a former player, be it somebody with ties in the coaching world, where AAU world. There's a bunch of different ways that this job can evolve. Now that you're kind of everybody is starting to dip their toe in the water and do it. Shaq is fascinating. He's still, because of his job on Inside the NBA, is still a prominent figure in basketball and
in pop culture.
We're being honest, pop culture. But if we're being honest, talked about this a lot over the years. High school kids and college kids don't, by and large, watch a lot of college basketball. They watch the NBA. And what do they watch? They're going to watch TNT. They're going to see Shaq and Chuck and Kenny Smith and Ernie, and that's part of their everyday life. So he's going to have juice in that world. And he goes viral all the time.
Yeah. I'm sure he still DJs. He's an entrepreneur and involved in all sorts of.
We talked about this before. He owns 100 franchise, Gold's Gym and Five Guys and I think there's a pizza place and he's got his hands in everything. So Shaq could just buy players. Shaq's got enough money that if he wants to spend $5 million a year buying players for Sacramento State, he could do it.
It'll be fascinating to see what happens there. I don't think that story is anywhere near done. I think we'll hear probably more than we will at any other college at that level, with him being involved there.
I think so too. I think they'll get players. I don't know
They'll
if
get their
they'll
money's
be
worth.
elite players, but they will get players if he legitimately does this and it isn't, just Shaq's our GM. And I think he will. I think he will do the work. I think he will do it.
Another story that kind of has been making headlines. The Houston Chronicle put out that the Texas Longhorns are going to be spending between 35 and 40 million on their football roster for 2025, which is, what are we doing? That
Ohio
said,
State spent 20 last year.
Yeah. And look, Texas knows how to spend money on a roster. They've been doing it for years, and probably in the top 5 to 10 of schools doing it. So it just hasn't really panned out for them. That all said,
I would say this, Aaron. Since NIL has really become prominent, they have gone back to the top of the sport.
Correct. Well, and who knows what they were spending before there was NIL.
Sure, but now they get to really, really outspend. So again, this will all be fascinating. Go ahead.
It does beg the question that Ross Dellendrax here, an extreme example of front loading during this transitional period from NIL collective pay to school rev share. But will salaries really tumble? Depends on the clearinghouse. I know I'm a little fuzzy on how this is going to work because you have the NCAA that's going to be launching investigations into real NIL.
No, it's a third party, so it will not be the NCAA. There is an outside clearinghouse that is going to look into it, and then if the outside clearinghouse feels there's impropriety, they will turn it over to a third-party investigation system that is outside of the NCAA.
It just sounds messy. That said, I don't know that you're going to continue to see teams spending this much after this year when things go to rev share. I'm just confused, though, as to how the players are going to take going from making millions to maybe just hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands as they go to rev share, and how the schools are going to divvy it up are they divvying it up based on player? Or is everyone going to get the same piece of the pie? I can't imagine it goes like that. And it's getting more and more closer to
being a reality.
Being an NBA team or an NFL team as opposed to the NCAA. And I don't know how this is going to work out. It's just going to be very messy when you don't have a union, you don't have things negotiated. You still have Title IX looming. I don't know.
We should know a lot more if and when this House case is approved. Then we'll at least have the parameters will be on paper.
A skeleton.
We'll have a better understanding of what this judge is going to allow, and then potentially what Congress is going to follow with in terms of enforcing the settlement in this House case. But the players aren't going to have a choice if there really are these restrictions on true NIL, because if it's 22 million and football's getting 75%, so football has 15, 16 million, some places are going to do 77, that's right. Going to be school to school. They're not going to have, the players aren't going to have any say in this matter at this point, because it's just going to be, here's the money we have to spend, and you either take it or you don't. There's not going to be a whole lot of say if it's, we have 15 million to build our roster. Last year we had 35. This year we don't. Here's the money. If you think you can go get somewhere else that's playing with the same, that's the difference. That's going to be the whole difference now, right? Everybody's going to be playing under the same umbrella for the most part, hypothetically.
Close to it anyway.
Hypothetically. So we'll see. I mean, it's fascinating to me, the fallout, how much different this time next year looks compared to this spending frenzy that has happened from the opening of the winter portal in football to through basketball and now to the spring portal for football.
it could seriously have implications on what happens, how many people enter the transfer portal to begin with. You could also run into the fact that how many players enter the draft going forward that didn't, because they could come back and make more money in the NCAA world as opposed to the NFL or the NBA.
Well, those guys are still going to make a bunch of money. But I mean, I don't know if you saw or not, but like last year, I think it was like 300 and something guys declared for the draft. This year was like 100. Because all those 200 guys came back to college and made a hell of a lot more than they were going to make in the G League or over in Europe.
I guess I'm more curious to see how that works with football, because you have obviously far more rounds, you have undrafted free agents, you have larger rosters in general. I don't know. I think there's probably more opportunity to land there for some of those middling guys, as opposed to the guys at the top are going to go
trying to thread a needle in the NBA where,
yeah.
there's 60 draft spots and there's like 20 guys that are going to stick on a NBA roster in their rookie season, and the rest are going to be in the G League or be on a two-way deal. It makes much more sense for those guys to go back to college basketball.
I don't know. Just the whole situation's still very cloudy to me. I don't feel like anything makes sense. And I think that it'll be good to at least have whenever this house settlement comes down. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near complete, but I think it'll at least give a skeleton to this thing, and they can start fleshing it out, because it's all just a mess.
It is. It is. I saw something weird. I saw something really weird today. I parked at Costco. I went to Costco to get some things today. I parked at Costco. There was a guy in the handicap parking with glasses on, like he was blind, and a cane.
Oh no.
Coming out of Costco with an entire cart full of liquor that he put into his car with his cane, and then got into his car and drove away.
And you share this to say,
do you call the police? That guy was blind.
I thought you were going to make a comparison to how that's how murky this whole thing is.
It is how murky this whole thing is. It's just a weird story that it's been stuck in my head all day. What should I have done in that situation?
Keep scrolling.
All right, we'll see you next time. That's the Nightcap, brought to you by Hail Mary Sports Bar, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya.